Why the longer a man is single, the more. That sentence, it sits heavy, don't it? It leans in like a whisper in a quiet room. It waits patiently for you to finish it. But how you finish it, that says a whole lot about how you see yourself, about what you believe a man's worth is when he walks alone, about what you think time is doing to him. Is it wearing him down or building him up? See, we live in a world that rushes us. Rush to get a job, rush to get married, rush to post a picture that says, "Look, I'm not alone." And somewhere in that rush, we lose the art of becoming. We trade the slow burn of growth for the flash of appearances. But what if I told you there's power in the pause? What if I told you that not every delay is a denial, and sometimes being single ain't a sentence? It's a setup for strength. I remember being a young man staring out the window of a one-bedroom apartment, no applause, no lights, just silence, just time, just me. And that was when I heard the loudest voice I ever heard in my life, the one inside me, the one that asked, "Who are you?" when nobody's watching. Let me tell you, that's a question every man's gotta answer alone. Because when you strip away the distractions, the validations, the sweet words that feel good but mean nothing, what's left when there's no one to impress, no one to entertain, no one to like your lie? Are you still proud of the man in the mirror? That's where the journey starts, and it ain't pretty all the time. It ain't Instagrammable, it's quiet, it's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. That's where the roots grow deep. You see, some men bloom too early. They step into relationships still holding broken pieces, hoping someone else will fix them, but a real man learns how to hold his own heart, to patch the cracks, to carry the weight of his past, not to hide it, but to honor the lessons it taught him. The longer a man is single, the more time he has to sit with those lessons, the more time he has to peel back the layers and ask, why do I love the way I do? Why do I react the way I do? What do I even believe about love, about leadership, about life? And that time, that space, that's not wasted, that's investment. The world might look at a single man and think he must be missing something. But what if he's not missing anything? What if he's gaining clarity, gaining peace, gaining himself? Because when a man finally finds himself, finally sees what he's made of, not based on a woman's approval, not based on a society's timeline, but based on truth, that's when everything changes, not just for him, but for every life he touches. So when I start a sentence with the longer a man is single, the more, I'm not talking about fear, I'm not talking about loneliness, I'm talking about legacy, and legacy is not rushed. Legacy is built brick by brick, decision by decision, day by day, and sometimes that building starts in silence, in solitude, in singleness, solitude. Now that's a word most people run from. It sounds cold, doesn't it? Like an empty room with no laughter, no footsteps, no warmth. But I've come to learn something in my life. Solitude isn't empty, it's sacred. It's not the absence of something. It's the presence of everything that actually matters. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a cabin deep in the woods, far away from the noise. No phone buzzing, no traffic screaming, just the sound of the wind brushing through the trees. You wake up in that cabin and there's no one there to entertain you. No eyes watching your every move. Just you and God, just you and the truth. That space, that is the season of solitude. And while the world tells you you're missing out, what you're really doing is tuning in. See, when a man is alone, truly alone, he starts hearing things he's never heard before. Not from outside, from within. The silence starts to speak. It says things like, remember who you are, or stop chasing shadows, or even you're enough right here, right now. But let me be clear, solitude is not for the faint of heart. Because when the crowd fades and the mask drops, the real work begins. You confront your fears, you meet your insecurities face to face, and in that space, there's no hiding, there's no script, there's no act to perform, just the raw, unfiltered you, and that is where the breakthrough begins. You see, the season of solitude, it's a forge. It's a place where men are melted down to their essence. And yes, it burns, yes, it stretches you, but it also refines you. That's the part they don't tell you about. The world is obsessed with the image of a man standing beside someone. But there's a special kind of glory in a man who has learned to stand alone. Not bitter, not afraid, but grounded, rooted, whole. That's not loneliness, that's elevation. You can't build anything real if your foundation is fractured. You can't lead anyone if you can't sit quietly with yourself. Solitude teaches you how to be your own mirror, your own motivator, your own compass. And it's in that quiet space that your purpose begins to whisper. Now I've known men, strong men, who used their solitude to become architects of vision. They didn't waste their singleness in distractions. They didn't try to fill the silence with noise. They leaned into it. They listened. They asked questions like, why am I here? What legacy will I leave? What kind of man do I want to be? Not just for a woman, but for the world. And the answers didn't come all at once. They came slowly, like rain on dry ground. But when they came true. Because in solitude, you stop seeking approval, and you start seeking alignment. You stop chasing moments, and you start building meaning. And that changes everything. So when you see a man walking alone, don't assume he's lost. Don't assume he's searching. Sometimes that man is simply becoming, and that becoming, that's the beginning of something unshakable. Let's talk about what a man can build when he's got time to himself. Real time, not distracted, not diluted. I'm talking about that quiet, consistent grind when no one's watching. Because when a man is single, and he embraces that space with intention, not resentment, he becomes a builder. Not just of things you can see, but of things you can feel. He builds character. See, character doesn't show up when everything's going well. Character is who you are when the lights go out, when nobody's clapping, when the house is quiet, and the world stops calling your name. It's in that space where you decide who you really are. Do you keep your word when nobody's checking? Do you discipline yourself when no one's demanding it? That's character, and it's carved in silence. He builds clarity without the distractions of emotional chaos. A man has room to think, to breathe, to listen to the voice of God and the beat of his own heart. And I'm not talking about ego. I'm talking about vision, about knowing where you're going and why. Too many men walk into relationships blind, hoping love will guide them. But love without vision is like a ship with no compass. You can't lead someone if you don't even know where you're going. But when you're alone, when you've got time to look inward, you start to see clearly. You start to understand what matters, what's worth your energy, and what you can finally let go of. He builds discipline. Oh, let me say that again. He builds discipline. That daily decision to get up, show up, and do the hard things when no one is forcing you. Discipline in your body, your mind, your finances, your spirit. Because how can you protect and provide for someone else if you can't manage your own house, your own habits, your own heart? I've known men who use their single years to chase fleeting pleasures, and I've known men who use that same season to build empires, within and without. The difference, discipline. One group was running from themselves, the other was running toward themselves. Toward purpose, toward legacy. There's a beautiful thing that happens when a man stops searching for escape and starts searching for excellence. When he realizes that every day alone is not a punishment, it's preparation. It's training like an athlete in the off-season. You don't see the medals yet, you don't hear the crowd yet, but the work is happening. The greatness is being formed rep by rep, hour by hour, decision by decision. Because when you build in silence, you carry something into the world that noise can't shake. You walk differently. You speak with authority. Not because you're trying to be seen, but because you've seen yourself. And you know what you're carrying. I remember reading about a man who used his years of singleness to write letters to his future wife. Never met her, never knew her name, but he wrote anyway. Why? Because he wasn't waiting to become the man she needed. He was already becoming. That's what this time is about. Not waiting, not wasting, working. You work on your peace. You work on your patience. You work on your principles. So that when love does come, you don't show up empty, asking someone else to fill you. You show up full, whole, ready to give, not just take, ready to lead, not just lean, ready to build, not just borrow, and that's the kind of man the world needs more of. Builders, architects of legacy. Men who took the quiet road, the slow road, the unseen road, and came out refined. That kind of man doesn't happen by accident. He's built, brick by brick, in the sacred space of solitude. So now you see, this ain't just a talk about being single. This is about becoming solid. This is about becoming sovereign. This is about a man who doesn't wait on permission to grow, who doesn't fear the silence, who doesn't shrink when he stands alone. No, he rises, because the longer a man is single, the more he's tested, and the more he's tempered, the more he's questioned, and the more he clarifies, the more he's left alone with the raw material of his life. And if he's wise, he doesn't waste it. He works it. He doesn't fill the space with cheap distractions. He fashions it into discipline, character, and vision. And I don't mean just a vision for love. I mean a vision for life, for fatherhood, for leadership, for kingdom building, so that when that queen finally walks through his door, she's not arriving to a boy with potential. She's arriving to a man with purpose. See, the world doesn't need more men running from themselves into the arms of temporary affection. The world needs men who can stand still, who can look in the mirror, and who can walk forward whole. You want to know what real love looks like? It's a man who has faced his demons, made peace with his past, found strength in his solitude, and still chose to love from overflow, not from emptiness. So to every man listening right now, don't rush the process. Don't fear the silence. Don't underestimate the season you're in, because this isn't a pause. This isn't a punishment. This is preparation. And the longer a man is single, with intention, with prayer, with grit, the more he becomes the kind of man the world doesn't just want, but the kind it desperately needs. Be that man. Thank you.